Welcome back to the channel. We're back with another Halloween week commander with Kastral, the Windcrested. For 3, a white and a blue, you get a 4/5 with flying, where whenever one or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to choose one. You either get a bird back from your graveyard, you get some +1/+1 counters on your birds, or draw a card. That counts for each opponent that we're dealing combat damage to. So we want to be dealing damage to each of our opponents. We could be giving our creatures double strike. This way, that's 2 separate instances of them dealing some combat damage to our opponents. So, that's exactly what we're going to be trying to do with this deck. And also, just like the movie The Birds, we're going to be trying to get as many birds on the board to overwhelm our opponents where they're not going to know what to do. And it's exactly why this one's going to fit our Halloween week commanders. And, not just because, some people were chased by a flock of seagulls when they were, 6 years old or something like that. Anyway, let's get into it card by card. Starting us off, we have an Arcane Signet for a little bit of mana, Azorius Signet for even more mana, Binding of Dasa, we're going to be trying to deal combat damage to each of our opponents, and Kastral already has that effect that we mentioned where it's each opponent that we're dealing combat damage to, we're going to draw a card, so this will allow us to get a second card that we're drawing. Also, we can make our opponent's creatures attack. This way, we're able to then have an open opponent for the one person who had the flyers. Patchwork Banner, a little bit more ramp, but also a little bit of a stat boost there for our birds already. Soul Ring for the mana, Talisman of Progress for some mana, Vanquisher's Banner for a little bit of extra draw power anytime we get those birds, along with a little bit of a stat boost on top of that. We're going to be choosing birds for a creature type for this one. Wayfarer's Bauble for that mana. I think you've noticed a little bit of a theme for our artifacts for this one. For our creatures, we have a lot of birds to go over. Starting us off, we have Aerial Extortionist. Whenever Aerial Extortionist enters, exile a creature on your opponent's battlefield. They can still cast it, but they have to spend the mana again, essentially. And then when an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, aka exile, graveyard, even their command zone, you get to draw a card. So this is really good for some extra draw power there. Even Mind Sensor, your opponent can no longer search their deck except for the top 4. Maybe the land that they were trying to ramp for is still in the top 4. But as soon as they cast their Farseek, you flash in your Even Mind Sensor, and they'll have to be a lot more limited search. Even something like Gamble or Demonic Tutor, it's no longer any card in their deck. It's just, something in the top 4. Cartographer's Talk, good thing Even Mind Sensor doesn't shut us off, because it's only each opponent. Because this will allow us to search our deck for some plains cards, trying to deal out combat damage to our opponent in order to get that ability. Clinkwind Sky Mage, we're drawing a lot of cards off of Kastral's ability, dealing damage to each opponent, potentially 6 a turn. And whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So you draw a 6, you already have a 7/7 with flying. Not most decks will be able to block that. Marriott Angel, whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter, put a 1/1 bird with flying onto the battlefield. Get those tokens, that's more birds that we're trying to attack our opponents with. Our opponents tend not to have 20, what are they called? Flyers. So if we could get our 20 flyers on the board, that'll help us overwhelm them and get enough to be able to deal some damage. Imperial Eagle, a little bit of stat boost there for our other birds, making them stronger, allowing them to go for the Eye's Valor. Oops, sorry about that. Go here, the Windlord, 2 less casts if you drew 2 more cards this turn, which is not going to be hard to do with Kastral's ability. We only have to deal damage to one person. Also gives our other birds vigilance. So, in theory, we want to be casting this before combat, but Kastral draws you cards after combat. So, it is a little bit of a contradiction, having this one. But we have some other ways to draw cards. So we'll get this on the battlefield for cheap. Also, if you get it into your graveyard, just get it for free with Kastral. Ishai, Ojitai, Dragon Speaker, flying. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on this card. Also his partner. It's all a bird monk. So, they'll just be a strong bird to overwhelm our opponents with. Jackdaw Savior, whenever Jackdaw Savior or another creature you control with flying, aka any of our birds, you control with flying ties, return another creature card with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield. So maybe our Gohir gets removed, we get back this one, then we go down to 3, down to 2, I'm just saying. Oh, no, we're actually just about to get to a 1-mana one with Judge's Familiar, which you even sacrifice in order to counter a spell unless its controller pays 1. This is super helpful too, because like caster could just get it back from the graveyard. And even like this first like thing that gets removed with Jackdaw Savior, we could even get that back with caster will start the loop all over again. Or even just get Jackdaw Savior back. Kanji Skywarden. When Kanji Skywarden attacks, creatures flying get +2/+0. When he blocks, creatures get +0/+2. Both good abilities. We like to block, we like to swing. Both those things help us. Keeper of the Nine Gales, flying. Tap to tap 2 untapped birds you control. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. A little bit of removal there for our opponent's stuff. Super fun ability. Night Fisher, whenever another non-token bird you control enters, doesn't care if it's cast, so if you get it with Kastral's ability, still does count. You get a 1/1 blue fish creature token. I think we don't have like Maskwood Nexus to make like everything into a bird. It's like everything we have is basically a bird already. But still, getting those little bit of tokens, something to actually block with, is gonna be helpful. Kaikar Zephyr Awakener, 2 white and a blue, you get 3/4 with flying. You get some more tokens, or you get to blink a creature. We don't really have that many things with like enters abilities. It helps out like cards like Night Fisher or like blinking one of your creatures in order to like have it be untapped in order to block as well. But like with our +1/+1 counters, it's not the most useful. But it's still like just good bird to get those tokens. Ledger Shredder, really good bird. Super strong bird, especially if your opponents are casting a lot of spells. You get to connive, meaning some draw power, meaning some +1/+1 counters. Mockingbird, why only have 1 copy of your best creature when we could have 2? Plumecrete Escort, a little bit of protection there, giving all of our creatures hexproof, allowing us to flash it in. So, even if our opponent casts something, no they didn't. Did I not put Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Grease in here? Huh. You probably want those, actually. I just realized that. Alright, note to you, whoever's still watching, after I forgot that. Yeah, you're going to want your Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Grease to make sure creatures attack to turn and come down. Roaming Trone, we're having our Castral's ability happen a lot. We choose Bird. We keep having Castral's ability happen again and again. Scouting Hawk, another ability that we could double up on with Roaming Drone. Deals common damage to a Nope, this isn't enters ability. I'm thinking the other one. Enters the battlefield, get some more ramp. We like to see it. Strike Force, flying, double strike, vigilance. Thanks to having double strike, that does allow us 2 abilities off of Kastral rather than just the 1. Also, the vigilance is helpful for us. Soul Catcher, whenever a creature of flying dies, put +1/+1 counter on Soul Catcher. Yeah, just another strong bird. Thieving Magpie, for a little bit of extra draw power when it gets to deal some combat damage. Drumming Bird, we gain some +1/+1 counters on our birds. If this gets to deal combat damage, we get even more +1/+1 counters. As simple as can be. Warden of Evil's Isles and Watcher of Spears both have the same ability of your creatures with flying costing a little bit less. Watcher of Spears also gets like a little bit of a stat boost, but we don't really care about that part. But yeah, I'd probably remove like Talisman of Progress and Azorius Signet for like some boots. Let's do it now. Yeah, because we have enough ramp otherwise. Quick add. This way, I think this is my first time actually adding something. Like mid-video. There we go. Now it's like they were here all along. Yay. See? Not a problem in sight. Anyway, on to our other cards. As we have Always Watching, non-token creatures control +1/+1 have vigilance. We're trying to attack a lot with our creatures, so this gives us a little bit of stat boost along with vigilance to make sure it can still protect as well. Coastal Piracy, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, you get to draw a card. Yeah, we're drawing a lot of cards. In theory, you could do like Laboratory Maniacs, Triskaidekaphile, and Dasta's Oracle like type wins with this deck if you like just run a whole bunch of cards that say this or like the thing with biting the Dasta. Because like you're drawing a lot of cards with this deck. But like that's not the vibes today. Dubscape. Your opponent may want to cast a lot of non-creature spells. They're getting birds instead. Same thing with us though. So like eat all this stuff. Now it's just birds. Favorable win, gets 2 birds, or give us our creatures with flying +1/+1 for a little bit of a stat boost. Gravitational shift, creatures with flying get stat boost, creatures without flying get stat minus, making it even worse for our opponents to try to swing in on us. Posture syndrome, we're trying to have our birds do damage again and again, so let's get more birds and more birds and more birds, and then I already made the go for the eyes valor joke, that's right. Can't make it a second time. Kindred Discovery for a lot of draw power for all those birds that we're going to have. Murmuration, birds you control get +1/+1 in vigilance, allowing them to swing in and block as well. And then also, at the beginning of your end step, for each spell you cast, you get a bird. Yeah, we're trying to cast a lot of spells, get a lot of birds. Smother and Tie for, you're still in Azorius, so you need a little bit of ramp. Soul Catcher's Area, giving our birds an even bigger stat boost. Whenever birds put into your graveyard from play, you get a feather counter on it, you get more and more stat boost. We like to see it. And then True Conviction. Creatures you control, double strike and lifelink. That double strike is just really helpful, doubling up on Kastral's ability there. On to the second half of the deck. We have Cyclonic Rift for a pseudo board wipe. Dawn's Truce. This way, when our opponents try to board wipe our birds, no, they don't. Dazzling Denial for a counterspell, but very bird-specific counterspell. Flare of Fortitude for that protection for our birds, giving them hexproof and indestructible. Flawless Maneuver, more protection for our birds. Generous Gift for a piece of removal. Lofty Denial. Can't target spell unless the controller pays 1 or 4 if you control a creature of flying, which we're going to tend to do. Pet to Exile for some removal. Purge Protection, give an extra turn, give opponent an extra turn, but you get some birds in the process, and a Teferi's Protection, essentially. Rally of Wings, untap all creatures you control, and then creatures you control flying at +2/+2 on the turn. Your opponent's just like, oh, I'm gonna swing on you for game. No, you're not. I have all my birds back, and they're stronger. Strict Serenade and Swan Song, 2 separate counter spells, both giving you 2 separate birds. And Source Plowshares for some removal. Lily Pad Village and Lupin Flower Village, which are just bird-like specific lands. One gives you a creature back from your graveyard, and Lily Pad Village allows you to surveil. Yeah, both okay abilities, but it fits the flavor of the deck. Lightning Grease, Swift of Boots. Make sure creatures can attack the turn they come down. This way they can deal that damage. Aerial Assault, destroy target tapped creature. Get a life for each creature you control flying. Not the best removal spell. It's also at sorcery speed, so really not even a good removal spell. But it's kind of funny for what we're trying to do, and also birds. Airborne Aid, draw a card for each bird in play. That's not just your birds. If your opponent has changelings, they may also have birds. That's birds for everyone. Aelrond's Epiphany, you get some birds, and you get to take an extra turn. I think that's a really good ability. I mean, especially because then your birds can attack if they didn't have if you really forgot to put your lightning gears and Swift Boots in here. Battle Screech, giving you more birds. You tap 3 untapped white creatures, including those 2 white birds, in order to get you even more birds. Distant Melody, choose a creature type. We're going to be choosing bird. And then draw a card for each bird you control. This one's only ones you control. This one's every person's board. Still, that's a lot of draw power. Allowing us to get more birds. Migratory Route does exactly that. Gets us 4 more birds. Raise the Palisades, board wipe for everything except our birds. And then Wing Words to draw some cards. Cost 1 less because we're going to have creatures with flying. Well, I think that's a really fun deck. I used to play Kastral. I took it apart to make a Choco deck. But still, he's still a fun commander to have. But if you guys have more decks you'd like to see, leave it down there in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe so you can stay tuned for the rest of Halloween week. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.